Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to be talking about Smash Ultimate Summit 6, the final summit. And all I have to say is this tournament was an amazing send-off to BTS. Everyone played out of their minds. Every single set was amazing, as well as the production being top-notch. So huge shout-outs to BTS. This is a great way to send them off. In terms of placements, for 13th we had Natoru, Aaron, Hungrybox, and Spargo. 9th place we had Void, Riddles, Mutace, and MKLeo. 7th place you had Glutoni and Apollo Kage. 5th place you had Prono, Bonham, and SkyJ. 4th place you had Kurama. 3rd place Big D. 2nd place Tweak. And winning the entire thing is ACOLA. This tournament was unreal. We're going to be going over all the upsets, all the placements, all that juicy stuff, and let's just get right into it. So for our 13th place finishers of Natoru, Aaron, and Hungrybox, they did not end up taking a set, though a lot of them had some pretty close games. You had Hungrybox taking Apollo Kage to Game 5, looking very impressive in that set. Aaron probably should have beat Glutoni. He was one misinput away from getting that crucial Game 5. That would have been a massive upset for him. Unfortunately, didn't get it. And Natoru wasn't quite as close as the other players, but he was able to take some games off of Spargo, which is, again, really impressive. I think all the Vodens showed up, especially Hungrybox. Again, a lot of people were super doubting Hungrybox, but he took games off Glutoni, had a really close set with Apollo Kage. He just played very well this tournament, had a really tough bracket, but speaking of a tough bracket, you have Spargo, who did underperform by a significant amount. In his pool, he lost to both Mutace and Riddles, which are honestly some pretty tough draws because both those players are just incredible, as well as Mutace, I think being up 2-0 against him lifetime now. And then in the actual gauntlet stage, he lost to Kurama, who he beat pretty handily at main stage, but Kurama had adapted and beat him kind of like he did at LSI in an amazing set. And then you had Void Spargo in one of the best sets of the tournament. Void barely managing to clutch that out, stopping the reverse 3-0. So a bit of a low placement for Spargo. I'm pretty sure the first time he's ever missed a top 8 in the post-quarantine era. So kind of a big deal. Again, everyone has bad placements sometimes, so he's definitely going to bounce back from it. I wouldn't worry too much, but it's just kind of crazy and shows how insane this tournament was that Spargo is in 13th. Now in 9th we had Riddles, Leo, Mutace, and Void, starting off with Void, who had one of the best runs of the weekend, despite only getting that one set win, but it was on Spargo, which is a huge deal, and it was all Sheik this weekend. I don't think we saw any of Void's other characters, and the Sheik was looking very good. Every single set he played, except the one versus ACOLA and maybe SkyJ, looked at least doable, and he honestly just got really unlucky in bracket. Running into SkyJ's not great, running into Big D's really bad, ACOLA's really bad. He got some of his worst matchups, and still ended up getting a dub on Spargo. Just an amazing run from Void. You had Mutace as well, who played amazing on the first 2 days, but unfortunately on the 3rd day he wasn't able to get enough sleep, so he wasn't able to play at his top level, even though on day 3 he still had some amazing gameplay. So it gave us some of the most banger sets of the tournament, him versus Kurama and him versus Glutoni, but despite this, he was still able to get wins on Spargo, Riddles, Natoru, and Aaron, so that's still a very good repertoire, and Mutace is once again proving that he is a major level winner caliber. He just has to have conditions out of his control go right for him, which is a little bit unfortunate. Then you had Riddles, who also played very well. Again, when Riddles hits you and he kills you, it is so scary to play against, and some days he's playing really well, some days he's playing not. Kind of the same thing as Mutace. On day 3, Riddles wasn't playing as well, which is pretty unfortunate, but he still got wins on Spargo, Natoru, and Leo. That is your number 1 and number 2, or number 2 and number 3, maybe. I don't know, a little ambiguous, but speaking of that number 1 spot in the world, MKLeo at 9th, with his only notable win being on Hungrybox and Aaron, which are pretty good wins for coming out, and Natoru as well. But coming out of a summit, you want to be having some more high caliber wins, at least when you're getting 9th. You look at Mutace, who has a win on Spargo. You look at Riddles, who has wins on both Leo and Spargo. Whereas Leo, he doesn't really have any top 30, top 20 wins. I guess you could argue, actually, Aaron, for top 30, but still not a great place for Leo. But he did get that bag. Huge shouts to Leo for getting picked up by Luminosity. It's just a bit of a sponsorship curse. I'm sure he'll be back the next tournament. In 7th place, you had Glutoni and Apollo Kage, starting with Apollo Kage, who managed to get first seed in his pool, which had Glutoni, MKLeo, and Hungrybox. And ironically, Hungrybox was the person that probably made it the closest out of all those. He was a reverse 3-0 on Glutoni, and he 3-0'd Leo. He beat a Brawl vet, and he beat one of the best players in the world against Snake, and then he went and beat Void on day 3, who's also one of the best players against Snake. He looked incredible this weekend, once again cementing himself as, hey, I am like top 10 caliber, I can beat literally any of these players. He added another set of top 5 players to his win list. He has just been looking so impressed lately again, cementing himself as the best Snake, as well as the first Snake to ever get a top 8 in Summit. And there's been a lot of Snakes throughout the history of this game. I also think he was the first one at a Summit, but still getting top 8 is a huge deal at this last event, so huge shouts to him for that. And then you have Glutoni, who is not surprising at all. He's been in this position so many times with wins on Leo and Hungrybox in the pool. Then he beat Aaron and Mudace in the big bracket, and then he did lose to Big D in the Gauntlet stage. And all of his losses were just kind of rough matchups. I feel like Snake isn't an amazing matchup for Wario, probably the best one that he fought. Then he had to fight against ACOLA, which isn't great. He's had a rough history versus Steve, and of course Big D being a very tough one. Ice Climbers Wario is not great, but he made it incredibly close because Gluttony always does that. His perseverance is unreal. And again, besting Leo in that head-to-head, it was Wario Joker this time. It did not work out. He's been so close so many times, Leo, but Gluttony keeps winning it. I think it's like 5 or 4 in a row now. He has been doing very well versus Leo, so that seems to be definitely Leo's biggest demons right now. So huge shouts to Gluttony and Apollo Kage. They played amazing this weekend. In fifth place, you had SkyJ and Banham. Now, SkyJ was originally a replacement for Light, and he actually ended up matching Light's seed, and Light is a top 5 player in the world, and he did it with Incineroar. In his pool, he was able to get wins on only Void, then Nehru in the Gauntlet stage, but in the final bracket, he got dubs on H-Box, Riddles, and Apollo Kage, getting that collision run back. SkyJ is so scary, and that's now twice a consistency is being shown of him being able to get into these top 8s of these top echelon tournaments, again, with Incineroar. Just simply unreal. He is so talented. He really, it sounds like a bit of a cliche, but he really does just put the fear of God into every single opponent he plays. Unreal from him. Then you had Banham as well, who I thought was going to take the tournament. He had a nail biter of a set with Tweak in the winner side of the bracket that he wasn't able to close out, but he did manage to sweep his pool where he beat Tweak, Aaron, and Big D, and then in the winner side of the bracket, he was able to take Riddles, only losing to the top 2 finalists of Tweak and ACOLA. Banham is just unreal. Really nice to see him back at this level of play. That combination of Lucina Minmin is really, really good. I think we saw Lucina have a lot of work this summit as well. He looked incredible with that character, so excited to see him back. I'm really stoked to see what his next tournament is. In 4th place, we had Karama with such a good bounce back. You know, he had a rough Genesis, he had a rough collision, but he looked absolutely incredible here. In the pool's phase, he was able to beat SkyJ and Void, only losing to ACOLA and Big D in this tournament, by the way. He lost to ACOLA twice and Big D once. In the Gauntlet phase, he beat Smargo, that main stage rematch, and he kind of got bopped at main stage. He got beat really bad, but here, it wasn't a confident set. It was very close. It was such an amazing set. I would highly recommend you watch it, but he was able to clutch that out, as well as having the same kind of thing with Mudace, just incredibly close, then getting knocked into losers, beating SkyJ again. So he beat SkyJ twice, he beat Void, he beat Mudace, beat Smargo. That's an amazing win list, and again, just a really nice bounce for him. It must be nice to be like, okay, I'm not like washed. You know, washed allegations are gone, because he had a little bit of a break after main stage, came back, wasn't performing well, has his big sponsor now, the K-Corp buff. Finally, I think his first ever good performance under K-Corp, should be feeling super happy about that. Kurama looked out of his mind at this tournament, and again, seeing that top level Mario doing well against these like meta picks is really, really interesting. 3rd place, we have Big D again, another 3rd place under his belt with solo Ice Climbers. I don't know how he does it, because the matchups for Big D are incredibly important. Out of all the players at Summit, I'd say that it matters the most which character you're playing against Big D. We saw this in effect greatly, because in the pools, he had a pretty tough pool with Proto being one of his worst choices, as well as Tweak and Aaron not being great draws. Aaron's a decent one though, because his secondaries weren't as strong as Tweak's, and he was able to get a win on Aaron there. Then he had an amazing Gauntlet phase where he had Void, which is definitely Void's worst matchup, and Gluttony, which is arguably Gluto's worst matchup, as well as not having a ton of experience versus Ice Climbers. He was able to beat both those players, though both the sets weren't free for sure. They definitely had to work for it. Then in the final bracket, he goes up against ACOLA round 1, which is incredibly tough. It was the opponent that he wanted the least out of the entire tournament, and he managed to beat ACOLA. That is an absolutely incredible matchup, one of the most impossible matchups in the game for Ice Climbers, and he managed to do it. Just unreal. Then he also managed to beat in the winner's side of bracket Kurama as well, which is definitely a better matchup for him, but still Kurama is an incredibly impressive player, and he did end up losing to Tweak and ACOLA in the run back, but the fact that Big D was able to overcome some of those impossible matchups and make it so far is just incredibly impressive, as well as Big D being the only unsponsored player at this event. So huge shouts to Big D. Hope he gets picked up soon. Also, really quickly, just some fun facts before we get into the top 2. Pool C and D were the entirety of the top 6. You had Proto, Tweak, and Big D from Pool D, and then from Pool C, you had ACOLA, Kurama, and SkyJ, as well as the top 4 players being someone from Japan, 2 people from America, and 1 person from Canada. Whereas you look at Collision, where you didn't really have too many Japanese reps, granted, but you had 3 people from Mexico and 1 person from Canada, so nice bounce back from America, as well as a pretty rough performance from Mexico, though we already knew that. Also, again, shouts to SkyJ for being the highest placing Mexican by a long shot. In second place, you had Tweak with wins on Big D and Aaron in the pool stage. Unfortunately for him, losing to Bonham there, but in the gauntlet, he managed to get a win on Skyj to put him into winners for day 3. Then he beats Apollo Kage with Sephiroth because that's a really tough matchup for Diddy Kong, and it's one that he struggled with in the past, so huge props to him beating the best snake in the world. Then you have him versus Bonham in the runback, managed to get a win there. It was basically all Diddy Kong. The Sephiroth came out game 1, but didn't really do anything, so really, really nice comeback from him there. Really strong for Tweak. Again, the Diddy Kong and Sephiroth combination this tournament was looking absolutely clean. Though I'd say the Sephiroth probably did more work. Like the Sephiroth beat Big D twice, it beat Apollo Kage. It did really, really well versus ACOLA, even though it didn't get a win. And then in the winners finals of it, you have the main stage rematch of winners finals as well, which is crazy that this has happened twice so recently. But Tweak managed to win that over Big D again. Then you had a really close grand finals, game 5 and game 4. Tweak not quite being able to overcome ACOLA yet. I'm sure he will do it one day, but it seems to be a bit of a persisting demon for him, at least for right now. Also, huge shouts to Tweak for getting that Luminosity sponsor. I will say, with Leo, Meister, and Tweak on your team, Luminosity officially overpasses Zeta as the best team in Smash. Though Zeta still did get a pretty big dub this weekend because you have, of course, the final summit winner of ACOLA with 2 wins on Kurama, a win on Skyj, Void, MK Leo, Gluttony, Bonham, Big D, and 2 wins on Tweak. ACOLA is simply the best. He managed to sweep his pool, lost to Big D pretty early on, and then went on a crazy losers run, beating Leo 3-0, Gluto 3-0, Bonham in a nail-biter game 5, Kurama 3-1, 3-0 on Big D, and then got these 2 wins against Tweak. Again, bit of a demon for Tweak now, and I think with this win, ACOLA has a very strong argument for the best player in the world. Now, I already had him as my best player in the world for 2023 just because of how well he's been doing in Japan, but a lot of people are like, no, you can't put him at number 1 because he hasn't been doing well in NA, which is fair. But this tournament, he proved he is incredible. He 3-0'd Leo. Again, a lot of people, he can't be the best. He has never beat Leo. He's never beat Spargo. Even though he didn't manage to beat Spargo here, he destroyed Leo, as well as Spargo getting 13th place. Like, the only people that really challenging that for Leo and Spargo, and both of them missed the top 8. ACOLA won the whole thing. The only other guy in the top 4 being Tweak, who he beat twice. Now Tweak as well, probably defending that spot in the best in NA for a little bit. Unfortunate that Light really couldn't compete for it, but still, Tweak played amazing. ACOLA played out of his mind, got that huge win, the final summit win, and I think cementing himself for the best player in the world, at least for a little bit. Maybe Steve's going to be banned, and I wouldn't be super surprised at this point if he gets banned, which just really sucks because, again, you want to see ACOLA having this continuous success because he's so amazing. He earned this tournament 1,000%. Again, played out of his mind. Summit was incredible. Thank you for BTS, an amazing production. Everyone that worked on everything, everyone that casted, everyone that played, just quite a show. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If there's a single set that was your favorite, just tell me down below because there are so many bangers out this weekend. Again, good vibes all around. Sport's been absolutely unreal lately, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.